Yeah. Last week.
I'm Judy. You know Doug, right? Yeah, he's my business partner. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Have you? He is just so great.
Did you see that? Yeah, I have seen it.
No, it's my good old days.
Okay.
Oh.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'll let you keep working on your paperwork because I think we're going to expect a few more people, and I think I stepped out of the camera, and we'll let some people come on online. We're live streaming and recording this event. We'll give you just a couple more minutes to work on some of your paperwork, and then you can just hold on to that and make sure that you either give it to me or Mrs. Judy is back there. Wave your hand. We all know her. She'll take that before you leave. But thank you for coming. So just a couple more minutes, and then we'll jump in and we'll have some fun tonight. Okay? I promise it won't be too terribly boring. Famous last words. I know. Too terribly boring.
Could you tell me if we're doing the background check because it's been 2 years, online or?
It has not been. We did most everyone last year, so it's only been 1 year. So, yeah. So we would have run yours last year.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Then I'm fine.
Yep, you're
Thanks.
fine. Yep. Only if you have not ever served with us before, or if there's been a few who have just turned 18 in the last year, are we doing? So, yeah, the rest of everybody else. Mindy's double checking our list, so you may be hearing from me in the next couple days, just in case we missed you somehow, or if you're new to us, and we'll run it.
There's not 100 kids. You can give them to me or to him. Yeah, yeah, they're about 25 in each.
Yeah.
Why do you think of our parents?
Yeah, these are all in set.
Oh.
Okay. And they go on the Thank you.
We're expecting at the same time.
Thank you very much.
What do you have in your hands? What paper did you pick up along the way? You have a verse sheet. You have a handbook, the half folded handbook. Make sure handbook is probably the most important thing that we'll need you to, because we're going to go through a couple things in that. The verse sheet is important. The prayer reminder sheet. Yep, those are the three things that I would love for you to have. And then, of course, if you need a parking pass, we'll talk about that in a minute. It's complicated this year. All right, should we just start?
Yes.
Can you listen? Okay, good. Well, welcome if you're online. And we're glad that you are with us and ready for another summer of VBS. In some ways, last year feels like it was just a month or so ago, but in other ways it feels like it was about 3 years ago to me. And so, but we are ready. If you were, raise your hand if you were with us last year in some capacity as a volunteer. So most of you, we have a couple new folks with us, so welcome. Glad that you're here. For those of you who were with us last year, we changed some things. So we talked through about all those kinds of changes. This year, we're not changing too much more from what we did last year. And for those of you who are new to us, that you're like, what are you talking about? We'll explain in just a minute. But there are a few changes, just twists to this year's version of VBS to take us just another step further down the road. One of those is last year we did 2 weeks of about 50 plus kids. This year we're doing 1 week, and we've increased our numbers to about 100 kids. So we'll have twice as many children in our spaces and in our rotations than we did last summer. So if you have a frame of reference with that, so we're just be managing a little bit more kids, a little bit more crazy and chaos and fun through all of the rotations. Last year, we were able to do just 2 rotations and kind of have some empty space. But because of our numbers, we're going to have 4 rotations. And so rotations will be going all morning long. I'll explain that in a minute when we look at the chart. That way, it'll make perfect sense to you. One other twist that's new to us this year is the parking element for 2 reasons. Last year, we played games in our parking lot. We're planning on playing games again in our parking lot. And there were 2 close call situations where people tried to avoid waiting for the train and to cut through our parking lot while we had children in there playing. And so there was a couple of really close, scary moments as cars sped through our parking lot when they shouldn't be, when they went in the out and out the in. And is bad. So we are we've taken extra measures to barricade our entrances and exits in our parking lot area for this year, so we can avoid that. We have a couple of our guys, Jeff and George, will specifically just be manning the entrances to our parking lot, so we can cut down any and most all traffic in our parking lot area during VBS. So that's a tray. That's the first reason. Second reason, Wolf Road construction has been delayed and is starting this Saturday. So that's going to be super, super awesome, as who knows when they'll actually get in front of our church, but they're supposed to be working from 47th Street to 39th Street just before you get to Ogden the week of VBS. So because of that, we're asking everyone to just kind of avoid the parking lot, avoid Wolf Road if you can, come in back ways, park in the neighborhood, and kind of walk that way. We're asking our families to drop off children along our south entrance along 45th Street and Johnson. And so we're adjusting how we're receiving children. Where usually our main entryway is the parking lot, portico, overhang. We're switching that to the south for this year, partly because of all that, what we just talked about. So that's going to be a change that's different. We'll talk a little bit more about what our expectations for you as volunteers will be, especially Monday and Tuesday. We'll want you in what we call our narthex, our foyer area by our sanctuary and that porch, welcoming, receiving children, helping them come in through our registration desk, which will be by the sanctuary this year instead of the elevators, and then funneling them into our community room, our gym area, where we will do opening and Bible and closing in there, okay? So for some of you, those are all words and don't make a whole lot of sense yet. But we'll get there in a minute. All right. So what are we doing? What is VBS this year? I'll flip flip the slide to this one. So we're doing Rocky Railway. There's, as you can see, there's a train in the big logo. It's kind of this Western train type theme, and the real theme is that Jesus' power pulls us through life's ups and downs. That's the main theme, and so we're going to focus in. Our Bible stories will all focus in on how Jesus' power will give us, well, I can tell you the specific things. Jesus' power helps us do hard things. We'll talk about that on Monday. And on Tuesday, Jesus' power gives us hope. And of course, remember, typical VBS, we give the phrase and then the kids yell back what? Trust Jesus every time. Okay, so Jesus' power helps us do hard things. Trust Jesus, they'll yell back. On Wednesday, Jesus' power helps us be bold. Trust Jesus. Thursday, Jesus' power helps us live forever. And so this is our salvation gospel day, where we'll focus on the story of Jesus' life, death, burial, and resurrection. And we're going to trust Jesus with our life. And then on Friday, Jesus' power helps us be good friends. And we'll talk about the church and what the first church looked like, and how they loved one another and acted like Christians for the first time, and what it means to be a good friend. And so that's our big theme. But I want to give you the Bible background too. So these stories, except for Thursday, which is all about Jesus, that story will come from Matthew 26 through 28. The other stories will be stories from the book of Acts. So on Monday, we'll teach the story of Ananias. Ananias had a hard thing to do when God asked him to go and help Saul. Saul was a notorious Christian hater, and he was persecuting Christians, but God sent a bright light, and he became a Christian, and God needed Ananias to go and touch him, meet with him, heal him, because he was blinded because of the bright light, but he was a little scared to do it, and so it was a hard thing to do. And so we'll talk about hard things that sometimes we have to do in life, and we'll talk about easy things that we have to do and the difference between that. So we'll take a pause right there for just a minute. And this is something that we will do more of this year as opposed to last year. So in our small group, in our groups, so we'll have about 100 kids divided up into 4 color groups. We have our typical red, lime, blue, and yellow, starting with our oldest in red. So our couple third graders, fourth and fifth graders will be red. Second and third graders will be lime. Our first and second graders will be blue, and our kindergartners and first graders will be yellow. So I went from top to bottom there. We have 4 color groups, and they worked out pretty well to be right around 25 or so in each color group. But from there, we're divided them down in half. So there should be, if the delivery comes right with handkerchiefs, we should have various like lighter and darker versions of that color. So there should be a lighter and darker version of blue, red, yellow, and lime and green. And so that helps us divide up who our children are with. And so on Monday, as you've been already assigned to a color group as a guide or a guide helper, you'll need to just start collecting like who's going to be in your little small group, right? So from 25 or so, that breaks down to about 12 or 13, and then we want that to break down into me as an individual, as a guide. I should have maybe 3 or 4 kids that I'm just going to focus in on. And so when we get to opening celebration, And then later when we come back for the Bible Adventure story time, there will be a couple times each time that we're together when we'll stop and we'll pause and we'll sit down in our smaller groups so that you can have opportunity to talk with your 3 to 4 or 5, whatever that case may be, about whatever question that we're talking about. So on Monday, as I'm teaching the story about Ananias and Saul and doing easy things and doing hard things, I'm going to have you pause and sit. Well, you'll be sitting already, but circle up, and I want you to talk about what things you do really well that come easy to you, and ask that question of your kids and let them tell you what they do really well or easy. Things like math or things like running or kicking a ball or whatever. And I want you as volunteers to have answers for them. It's so important, guys, that when we have a discussion question, that they hear you answer, and they get to know who you are. Because when they start to get to know who you are, that gives them the freedom, they feel more comfortable. There's going to be a lot of wide eyes on Monday and Tuesday. They'll be like, looking around like, what's going on? This is different. This is not my school. You're a weird face. What's happening? We're singing songs. That's not normal. So there's going to be a lot of that happening. And so as soon as you can get to know who they are, get to know their name, understand more things about what they like to do. So that's part of the easy and hard things. What things are hard for you to do? Well, somebody's going to say, math is super hard for me. Or they're going to say, doing my chores are really hard for me. Something like that. You can have a story already, that's something that you find really hard and that you have to do all the time. And how trusting Jesus gives you the power to do hard things in life. And then you can reinforce that throughout the day. Okay? So just to recap that a little bit, during our opening session, there will be times when we'll ask you to circle up in your crews. We're calling you crews, and ask a question, have a discussion, get to know each other. We want you to get to know their names early on Monday, and then when we have our Bible time, our Bible story, we'll do that again. And we'll see what the closing looks like. Sometimes we run a little tight on time, and we want to make sure we get through all of our songs on closing. But there may come a point when we want to recap what we've learned that day and circle up and have that time to talk through. That make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So Tuesday, back to our Bible stories. On Tuesday, we'll look at Acts 27, where Paul encourages others right in the middle of a storm and while they're being shipwrecked. So this big dramatic story of a storm and being shipwrecked, and how Paul encouraged everyone to stay calm, and it's going to be okay, and that there's a plan, and we'll reinforce how God gives us, how Jesus' power gives us hope in life. And on Wednesday, we'll talk about Wednesday, so hold on to that in just a minute. We'll talk about Wednesday's schedule a little bit. But we'll look at Peter and John from Acts chapter 3, and when they were teaching about Jesus, and they were being told not to. And they kept on teaching about Jesus, and eventually were thrown into jail. And so here, once again, we have that kind of repeated theme that sometimes we're asked to do hard things, but also Jesus' power helps us be bold when it comes to sharing our faith and sharing what we know and how we love Jesus. And God did some pretty cool, amazing things in this story. And so we'll talk through that a little bit. And then on Thursday, we'll talk through Jesus' death, burial, resurrection, and how we can be saved and trust Jesus. And on Friday, we'll talk about Acts chapter 2 and how God created the church, this thing called the church, and Christians who need to come together and be united in their faith and love each other and and be friends with one another, and we'll talk about how we can have power in our friendship. And so we'll actually use this little piece of equipment. Benji, will you come up here for a minute? And we'll have fun. We'll have some fun with this. So this is a pretty basic science experiment. I'm going to touch one side. You're going to touch one side, and nothing happens because we're not fully united. And so all I need to do is just touch your nose, or better yet, hold your hand to complete the circuit, right? And that there's power that is running through us when we are connected, when we are living life together, when our faith is connected. And so we'll have some fun with that because we can link up. I mean, we could do it today, but we won't take the time. We could link each other up, and if we break, it doesn't work. If we're linked, it works. And so we'll have some of these for all your groups to play with and get the picture of what it means to be the church, working together in unity. Fun. That'll be fun. Any questions about that? Okay. Rhonda, my wife, is with us this year, and we're going to sing some songs. She's going to be our music lady for the week. So come on over to this side so that they can see you on camera. And we have some pretty good songs coming up. But one of the feedbacks we got last year from the training and from the week is that we wish we would have practiced these songs a little bit ahead of time so that we knew them a little bit better going in on Monday and Tuesday. And so we're gonna practice 3 songs. She's going to help us lead that. But before we do, there's one other point I want to make. As I've been going through our registration lists of our children, we have a pretty young group of kids. So we have a lot of going into kindergarten, going into first grade, going into second grade. In fact, they make up about 68% of our group. Kindergarten, first, second graders. Right now we have just 3 fifth graders registered for. So that gives you a little bit how young we will be. So the thing with songs is that there's words involved, right? And words are great if you can read, but if you're going into kindergarten or first grade, you're probably not going to be reading at the speed of songs that are moving pretty quick. So this is why motion and emotions are important in songs, and repetition, of course. And we want you to help our young ones get involved, do the motions, and be energetic in it all. All right.
Yeah, enthusiasm makes the difference, right? We learned that way back in camp ministry years and years ago. It doesn't matter if you're good at it or if you're doing the right motions. If you're enthusiastic and enjoying and having fun, it'll work. It works, right? So everybody stand up. We're going to sing these 3 songs. Of course, they have power at their theme. So these 3 songs are all programmed for Monday, specifically for that first day. We're going to throw in some new ones. There's a whole list that I think Pastor Joel's given you access to on a... Does everybody have that? Google Doc?
Google Drive,
with a list
Google
or...
Drive.
And I would... Really, it's really helpful to watch those and sort of learn the songs so you can sing them out and help lead. But we're going to keep the energy up. We also, this is kind of untested for our church in recent history to have, this afternoon time slot. So it's possible that these kids will have been outside all day at different activities and they'll be lagging. Or they might have that pre-dinner burst. And we're just going to play off that energy that we find. And I hope that, that we can all sort of keep up with them. But these are, yes. I know. We can pray about that until Monday. But
ready?
Yeah, hit it, Joel. This is your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. Feel free to move and be loose, right?
We trust in you, Jesus. You're all that we need. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting.
I don't want to block the screen.
We're trusting in you. You give us hope and life that's forever. You make us full, and we stand together. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. We're off on this journey. There's no looking back. With Jesus to lead us, we're on the right track. Oh,
Turn around. Twice.
wide open spaces for wide open eyes. We're looking ahead for the next big surprise. Oh,
Again. Woo! We trust. We trust.
we trust in you, Jesus. You're all that we need. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. You give us hope and life that's forever. You make us full, and we stand together. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. We're off on this journey. There's no looking back. With Jesus to lead us, we're on the right
Turn
track.
around.
Wide open spaces for wide open eyes. Looking ahead for the next big surprise. We trust in you, Jesus. You're all that we need. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. You give us hope and life that's forever. You make us full, and we stand together. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. Your power will pull us through. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you. We're trusting in you.
That happens 5 times at the end, so you can count. We're trusting in yous. So any questions about that one? It's like you're holding onto a rope, right? You trust in the rope to hold you, and so we trust in you, Jesus, and then pulling us through. Again, it's the rope theme, I guess. You're all that we need.
We're looking.
Yeah, looking ahead for the next big surprise. Yeah, kind of simple. If you watch it 2 more times at home, you'll have it. But I mean, it'll, you might want to pull your front blinds closed when you do it. But I do encourage you, or do it in your backyard, in the private backyard. I do encourage you to watch it and do the motions. You'll have it much more in your body if you don't just watch. If you do it physically with them, you'll get it better. Okay, the next one.
Perfection is not important.
No. It's enthusiasm,
Big
right?
enthusiasm,
Yeah.
loud,
Yeah.
and
Singing along. Yeah,
Singing
sing
along.
along. Doesn't matter what you sound like. It'll be loud in the gym. So we want to.
power in the blood.
Power in the blood is next. Power in the blood. Jesus. Yeah. Oh, try that. Oh, there is power. Oh, sorry. Jesus, your King. There's power in the blood. Power in the blood. Would you live daily His praises to sing? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, wonder-working
blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. All right.
So make sure your active
Oh.
voice don't start punching the people in front of you, right?
It's gonna repeat. Same thing. There's power in the blood. Power in the blood. Would you live daily His praises to sing? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Oh,
There we go again. Okay, so you've got that one too, right? Yeah, that's a good one too. Talk about a great old hymn that we don't sing even very often in our churches. But there is power in the blood of Jesus, in the name of Jesus. So, wonder-working power. Yeah, punch the air a little bit. Get in that, and then, get into that too. That's a fun little thing. There's 3 of those at every time that happens. So that, any questions on that one? Yeah, pretty easy. Power, power, wonder-working power in the blood. And then this lamb, it's the hands to the cross. Yeah. So the freedom of no bondage to the cross. Yeah. Okay. Let's do the third one.
All right, this is the power shuffle.
The power shuffle. Oh, this is fun. Okay, so yeah, it's a power shuffle. So it actually does to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then turn it around, and then move to the right, You know, and so it's going to be fun. Anybody that's leading up here with me, is there anybody that's going to help lead songs?
Or wants to.
Yeah. So if you're up leading with us, we just have to go to the right first. We're gonna go to their left, right? So they're gonna mirror what we do and what the video does. So because we're flipped.
Yeah, and if you're a guide in yellow or blue,
Yeah, if you're kindergartners.
with their little ones, you might want to just hold hands.
Yep.
And then just take little baby steps, right?
Yeah.
Because they're
Well, they'll
gonna be
get
like
it.
this.
After the first time we sing it, they'll love this
Yeah.
one. This will be a fun one. It's about the movement and the energy of this one.
Yeah.
So let's try it.
in the air right now. It's all around, see it everywhere. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. It's the power to move any star. It's the power to heal your broken heart. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. So don't hold back, no, don't hold still. God is here and He is real. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Turn it around and move to the right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Tiny little jumps forward to
Ready?
the front.
1, 2, 3, 4.
4 jumps back, but you better look back.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Now freeze, and everybody clap your hands.
And stop.
Feel it in the air right now. It's all around, see it everywhere. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. It's the power to move any star. It's the power to heal your broken heart. It's the power. Yeah, God's power. So don't hold back, no, don't hold still. God is here and He is real. Take 4 steps to the left, to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 jumps back, but you better look back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take 4 steps to the left. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it around and move to the right. Take tiny little jumps forward to the front. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 jumps back, but you better look back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. And everybody clap your hands. And stop. Okay, so isn't that fun? That's a fun one. I think they'll really like that after they get it, right? Probably day 2. So watch the videos if you can. The other one we're going to do.
That email.
The other one we're going to do is everywhere. What's it called? Everywhere you go.
Sure.
I think that's the 4th one that we'll do on Monday. Everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll know them better on Monday too.
there's
I'm gonna practice more too.
There is an "I Will Trust You" song too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Joel, do you have a CD?
yes, we do have some CDs. Mhm.
Yeah. Have a seat.
Yes, we do.
Thank you guys.
In fact, Judy has some CDs that you can grab a CD. We also have a couple download cards, so you can download the music to your device if you're more digitally advanced than CDs.
Thanks.
I'll say it that way. Great. Yeah, so that should be fun. That all happens in our opening session. And in our closing, so much like we did last year, we start out with a big bang, lots of high energy, lots of music and movement, and we finish off the same way. We'll stick on script for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday mostly. By the time we get to Wednesday, we've been through most of the songs, and then we'll just start repeating our favorites, the ones the kids seem to pick up more quickly, and because they all help support the theme of what we're talking about in VBS. So by Friday, I mean, if you remember Friday from last year, we pretty much sang them all, and we did lots of music and lots of circle dances. We don't have much circle dancing this time around with this. We won't have the space really to do it. But the power shuffle will work with the amount of kids that we'll have in that space. And it'll be fun to watch the whole sea of gray T-shirts move back and forth and right and left and all of that good stuff. All right, take your handbook, and we'll cover some of our important things. Let me just double check my notes. Let's start at the back page. That's always a fun place to start, right? Right at the very back page. I'm gonna throw this up on the screen too, and we'll just talk through the schedule a little bit. So here's where we are. We'll have these posted on walls as well, but this you'll have a couple of these handbooks in your lead group guides, just to help remind you where you need to be and where you're going, and they're on the back of your lanyards, name tags, and so you'll have that easily accessible to figure out, okay, where are we going, what's happening, and it's all right there. So you'll see that we're starting in the afternoon, which is new. At 3 o'clock, we'll be in the community room. Those gray sections are for everyone, so we're all in the community room for the opening Sing and Play Express celebration, where we're going to play and sing songs. We'll set up the theme for that day. We will cover and play a video. Something that's new this year is a video for the daily verse. They're really cute. They're really emphasizing the nature aspect of the Bible buddies. So day one is Ramsey, the bighorn sheep ram guy, and it's about a 3-minute video all about bighorn sheep and all kinds of facts. So those kids who love nature facts are going to eat those videos up, and then it just sets up what that verse is all about, so that when we get into rotations, you'll see that memory is with snacks, and so this is part of the rotation. So if you're just looking at your chart, the yellow will have their snack time after the Bible story, which is in the middle, and during snack time, color group that's about 25 kids will split in half. Half will do memory with Mrs. Alice. The other half will have their snack. And what is not on this chart is we've added some art expression. And so we have some big boards that have been routed out an actual train with cars. And we're going to, all week long, we're just going to add art to that board and do some self-expression of all kinds of color and stickers and all kinds of stuff. And all week long, we'll add to that, and we'll see what kind of art we create at the end of the week. So very tactile, very hands-on expression. Some kids will love it. Some kids will rather just have a second snack. And we'll see how that goes. But then in the middle of that rotation, we'll flip so that those who are doing snack and art will do memory with Miss Alice during that rotation. Okay, does that make sense? But we've split it up so that you do 2 rotations right after the opening session. You'll notice the second block for Cam Track skit. There's just a short skit that our very own Tyler and either me or Miss Rhonda will interact with him as Cam Tracks. And he's kind of the comic relief / negative influence, or the negative side of what the theme is for that day. So if Monday's theme is about Jesus' power will help me do hard things, Cam has a really hard time doing something that's hard. And so that we're going to have a little interaction with him and help him get over what he has to do, some hard thing that he has to do, and we'll help reinforce that theme then. Then we'll split off and do our first 2 rotations. We'll wash our hands, use our bathrooms together if needed, and then come back to the community room for Bible Story Adventure. And then we'll go and do 2 more rotations, do our washing hands, bathroom break, and come back to closing, wrap it all up, and send them home. Okay? So this schedule here is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And so if you turn in your handbook to page 4, you'll see a different version of this chart. And at the very bottom of it, you'll see Wednesday. Wednesday is a truncated, abbreviated version of VBS. So much like last year when we went to do the field day at the park, this year we're doing a carnival in our parking lot. Okay? And so we'll start out at 3 o'clock. We'll do opening. We'll do cam tracks. We'll do verse. We'll do lots of singing. We'll do Bible story, all in that first hour, from 3 to 4. And we'll have some interaction time then. We'll wrap it up with a couple songs. And so we'll do all the big group stuff all at once on Wednesday between 3 and 4. And then when we're done there, then we'll take everyone outside to do carnival. We're inviting all the moms and dads, siblings, aunts and uncles, grandparents to come back, neighbors to come and be a part of the carnival. Carnival means that there's going to be hot dogs and chips to eat. There's going to be an inflatable obstacle course. We have a trackless train that can carry, I think, was up to 20. Lynn will talk about this in a little bit more. 20 kids at a time, and we're going to do train rides around the church. So all kinds of fun. But what I'll touch on now is until a parent comes and claims their kids, we're going to have our guides be guiding our children through all the fun things. And Lynn will talk about that in a little bit later. But we're doing that from 4 to 6. And so that will be a fun night. We'll have a DJ, music, and cakewalk, and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's going to be great. So tell your parents about it. Invite them to come and hang out with us. We'd love to have them come and be here. Pray that the weather stays dry for Wednesday specifically, because there really is no plan B. I was asked today what plan B was, and I said, we'll do it in the rain. We don't want to, but there's no real plan B so at this point. Any questions about the schedule? Yes?
Do we get to eat any of the food?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, hot dog, chips, all that. When we do snacks, you guys can have a snack with the kids and be a part of all that. Yeah, totally. It's all there. All right. That actually leads to a couple quick points about what it means to be a guide. And if you turn in your book to where do I want to? Page 9. I just placed it. Page 9. What it means to be a guide. I like to use words like with and present when it comes to what's most important for a guide who's leading children during VBS. And so let's talk about with. We need you as guides to be with children. You might think that's what we're here to be. But it means something more than just being a person in the middle of a group of other persons. We want you to not just be with them. We want you to play games with them. We want you to make crafts with them. We want you to learn and memorize the verse with them. We want you to sing songs with them, do the motions with them. We want you to make connections, spiritual connections, when you get to connections with them. We want you to interact with the Bible story with them. Okay, so it's everything. You're doing it with children. And that sometimes that means that you might have a child in your group who doesn't want to be with you or doesn't want to be with the group. And so that will mean that you will have to go extraordinarily more to be with that child and to help that child be with the group. Okay? And so that is what it means when in that second bolded paragraph, remember to focus on children rather than other adults, rather than other youth volunteers in your group. Your focus should be on the children that you're with, that you get to guide, that you get to lead for that 3-hour period. Being present, very similar. Being present means that you're here and that you're here on time. And that means that you're not here walking in at 3. On time means that you're at least 15 minutes early. So at 2:45, you should be walking through the doors with your shirt, your lanyards, ready to go, ready to meet children. Another way to say that is I would rather have you as our volunteer staff be waiting for children to come than having children here waiting for you to come. Right? Does that make sense? And so we want you to be present, which on time, but also present with your eyes and your ears and your attention. And And so that means that the biggest distractor, which I've got a lot of it going on right here, is technology, right? The biggest distractor in life is the little light box that I hold in my pocket that dings every 5 seconds with some sort of notification. And so we just politely ask that if you have a phone, you can bring it with you, that's fine. It's best if it's turned off, but we understand that that may not be an option for you to turn it off, but would you please silence your notifications in the moment? If you are a purse or a backpack toting kind of person, we usually have a room available that we can lock things up safely and securely for that 3-hour block, and we're happy to do that, make that room available where purses and backpacks and phones can be locked up safely. But what we don't want is for even in transition times are important times with kids because we don't want to lose track of them, and we need to help them and be with them as they wash their hands, as they need to go in and out of restrooms, all of those kinds of things. And so that's when we need you to be present. So we don't need a phone or a text message or anything that's distracting you from that. Yes, question?
I really like taking the selfies. Can I take a selfie with the children?
Ooh, selfies with children. Can you do that? No. No, that's not. We will have people taking pictures all week long, and we'll put together a video recap, and we can share some in the end. But we'll not do that either. Good question. Anything else? Being present. So if you haven't caught on, the whole point is the children. We want them to have fun. We want you to have fun too, because when you have fun, they get to have fun. So have fun with them. Oh, look, I used that word again. With, and make it worthwhile. So as we go through that list on page 9, be at the church on time. We talked about that. This says actually arrive at 3:30 or 2:30, I should say. 2:45 is probably fine, somewhere in there. This asks you to familiarize yourself with the health and safety section of the handbook. We'll do that in a minute. Walk the route in which a couple pages earlier, when we dismiss from opening, we'll tell yellow, we'll go to this door and go up this stairway. That's all explained in this handbook, and we'll do our best with microphones to help you know exactly where to go and what's next for your group. We are including in the lead guide bags attendance sheets. We're going to try to keep better attendance throughout the week with our children in the from place to place, so we have everybody going where they need to go, and so we have better track of who's here every day. And of course, we're keeping children in their own groups. There may be a tendency where a child in group blue wants to go with a sibling in group green, and we can accommodate those kinds of things, but not in the middle of the day. That's something that needs to happen at the end or at the beginning. So if Johnny wants to go be with his big brother in the middle of the day, we'll have to figure that out. But he just can't run and jump into a different group color. All right. There's probably a reason why they're not together. We have lots of requests, and there's probably a reason. This is important. I'm on page 10, the second check mark. Learn the names of the children in your group. So practice names. They'll be wearing name buttons. You'll have name lanyards, but practice their name. So, hey, you. It's so much better to say, hey, Emily, or hey, Emma, right? Run around, check their button, use their name, help build that bridge of relationship. Just that makes sense, right? There's the next There's a snack break. We talked about that already. Snacks are available for you. There's no hospitality room. So this is what we implemented last year, where as guides, you're having your snack time when children have their snack time with the children. And so we're not leaving the group to go have a break. We figure we can manage being with children for 3 hours without having a break. All right, turning the page to some other responsibilities. I mentioned that we have a younger group this year, and so this is these pages, these things are all ways in which you can help the younger children manage those sections. And so we've talked right in memory, because there will be some there. Play the games with them, encourage them to come along, hold hands and say, hey, let's run this relay together. All of those things are inclusive ways of being positive with children, and go through this. So crafts as well. Some kids are really, Judy will mention this when she comes up to talk about crafts, how there will be some kids who are really crafty. They love it. They get into it. And then there's others that say, well, there's no sports in crafts. What's going on? That would have been my youngest child. He's like, where's the ball? Let's go play sports outside. So you can help navigate through all of that. One thing before we move on to health and safety measures, let's just take a minute and talk through what might be a possibility going on with children today. So there's this new classification of children that's starting to develop, and that's the post-pandemic generation. And what we are learning about children is that they are struggling with some anxiety issues. And anxiety now is more normal than not. And so what does that mean? Well, to be honest, we're still learning. But here are some helpful things that may help you. And we've already talked about a few of these. I've kind of incorporated them in. But obviously, with someone who might be struggling with anxiety, and we've had a number of parents who registered their children and said, could my youngest child, he's kind of experiencing some anxiety, could he be with his older sibling in their group? And so we said, sure, absolutely, we can accommodate that. We can make sure that they feel safe and they feel secure and that they feel loved, and we will do everything we can to make sure that we have that kind of environment where there is fun and safe and all of that a part of it. And so being extremely positive is what we want to encourage you as volunteers. What we want to do is be as leaders is be extremely positive in how we talk through and talk to children. Now, there will be times when kids won't follow the rules. It's kids' nature to not follow rules sometimes. So in those moments, we want to exercise ways in which we can positively turn their attention back to where it should be. And sometimes that means that they're not quite ready to enter back into the group, but we can positively turn their attention back by being distant from the group. Does that make sense? So sometimes not bringing back to the center if someone's being disruptive, but just pulling them back behind the group or to the side of the group and positively reinforce, hey, we're listening now. Can you show me how you can be a good listener? This is important. Those kinds of things, and encourage them to be positive. Again, using the terms that we've already used of we want you to be with those children because what we're finding out is that when you struggle with anxiety, you feel like you're becoming, you feel like you're alone, right? And so we want to give our complete attention to that child who may be struggling in the moment. And so having our eyes, our ears, even our physical body turned towards them, to give them attention, to ask them questions, to listen to them, interact if they're willing to share. All of those things are good ways in which we can help children who struggle. And so that means that we give them our focus. That's mostly what they're looking for anyway, is looking for some attention and some focus time. And so we're going to be willing to give them that without distracting the rest of the big group. So if that means pulling them aside or stepping away, away from the bigger group in order to give them attention. Some of the anxiety comes up with loudness and noises and bigness of room and crowds. We're going to have that feeling, especially in our larger groups. So let's just be aware and be sensitive that there might be some kids that might not feel good right away. And so we'll just need to be sensitive to that as well. And some of us adults will help you and keep our eyes out and be on the lookout for those kinds of situations, and we'll give you some help along the way. But mostly we want you to treat that child who might be struggling as if you're that child who's struggling, and how you might feel like you want to be helped in that moment. And if you can kind of go down that road a little bit, I think we'll be in a good place. The other kind of discipline thing that might happen is that we're going to help you create some boundaries. And so when we start on Monday, we will set some boundaries on what's appropriate and not appropriate. And as we do motions with songs, we'll talk about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate sometimes, and we'll just set some boundaries, and that will help us all make sure that we have good things, right? And listening in so like during Bible story time when we circle up, we'll mention like, this is what we're going to do. Everybody, let's circle up. We're going to take this time to ask, and we'll do it in a very positive way. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Let's turn to the health and safety page, which I think is page 15. All children who must leave the building before closing time must be released through the registration desk. So I read that sentence because typically we have our registration desk by the north entrance near the elevator. This year we're moving the registration desk into our narthex lobby space by the sanctuary, because our primary doors will be on the south side here along 45th Street. So I'm just kind of reinforcing that again, that that table will be more in that space, and in a minute we'll show you where that is. The fourth one down, teach and observe good hand washing. That's an important thing, especially with our younger group. We're going to use soap and running water. Last year we had the vines with the water. We still have those. We're going to pull those out again because they kind of fit with the forest theme, and so we'll use that vine, and it worked great to wash our hands and make sure they're clean, especially after we've done those first couple of rotations. And there's always hand sanitizer around, and we're going to do that before we eat, after using the bathroom, and anything else. COVID is still around. We're still going to pay attention. If there's any children in your groups who may display some symptoms, and there's a list there in our handbook, just make sure that if you see like some runny noses or some coughing, persistent coughing, any kind of cold symptom, that you just kind of communicate up the chain to leadership, and we'll just double check it and we'll reinforce it and talk to parents and make sure that we're all covered for that. So we're just happy this year we're not wearing masks during VBS. We had to do that last year, so we're happy that we're going to see faces the whole week, which is great. And but I'm bringing that up too. If there's a child who prefers or wants to wear a mask, they'll probably bring their own. But if for whatever reason someone asks, we do have masks available at our office, and we will make sure that we can supply a mask if that's needed. All right. Every room that we're going to be in has a first aid kit. In this room, it's back in the corner. It's red. It's hanging up, and our leaders know what to do with that. So if there's a cut or a scrape or whatever, we can accommodate all of those kinds of things. Because we're using the community room, and even this floor is pretty hard, there may be times when, well, we hope that there's no skinned knees or bruised knees or even bumped heads. We're going to be playing games in the parking lot, on the asphalt of the parking lot, and sometimes you can slide, and we had a couple of skinned knees, a couple of hands. And I don't think we had any heads, but we sure don't want that. If that were to happen, we have a nurse who's going to be volunteering with us each day, and you're going to bring that child back in to a leader, an adult leader, or to the nurse. Most times they will be around where the registration desk is, and we'll make sure that we give Band-Aids and help that child as best we can. Especially if it's a bumped head, we'll need to communicate that to mom and dad as they come to pick up for that day. We just want to make sure they're well taken care of. Ultimately, we want to show love and compassion. So I'm on now page 17, and concern for children with our words rather than our touching and our hugging. So we want to use words and verbal cues. We can do high fives, those kinds of things. Fist bumps are appropriate, but we don't need to hug. We don't need kids sitting on laps. That's what we have spaces on the floor for. And it's perfectly appropriate to say, hey, why don't you sit right here next to me? Because some kids just love to climb up on laps, but we're going to positively redirect to sides and do those kinds of things, okay? And that's for your safety as well as the child's safety as well. There's a two-person rule that is super important, and the two-person rule goes like this: if I'm ever with one child doing one-on-one things, there needs to be a second leader or volunteer within eyesight of me working with this one child. I don't ever want to be alone with a child, ever. You don't ever want to be alone with a child, ever. It's really hard to do in our VBS situation because we work in groups and we play in groups and we do it all in groups. But just in case you have one child who needs to go to use a restroom, the best way to do that is that you inform another volunteer and say, I'm going to take this child to that bathroom, and then you walk them so that they can watch you walk them, and you let them into the bathroom to do what they need to do while you stay in constant eyesight of the other volunteer. That's the two-person rule. That you're never alone with a child ever during VBS. Always another adult, always another group of children, always more than just one-on-one. Okay? Make sense? Any questions about that? Any and all of that? Judy, did I cover everything?
You did it beautifully, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
The hospitality.
Yes.
What actually is that?
That lady right behind you, right at when we're done, why don't you talk to her? The hospitality room used to be a thing. It's not so much a thing this year, but she's going to help you understand what that means, okay? All right. The last thing I want to cover before I ask some of our station coordinators to come up to talk about crafts and connections and games and the carnival, and then Pastor Aaron is here to talk about some of the youth things. This page 18, I just want to make sure that you are aware of the carnival is for everyone. And so we're going to reinforce that on Monday and Tuesday with the kids, that they know that we want their moms and dads, their grandparents, their older siblings, to come and be a part of the carnival from 4 to 6 on Wednesday. Okay? That goes for your parents, for your family. We'd love to have you be a part of that too. All right? Lynn-Ann, why don't you come first? And you can talk to us about games and the carnival a little bit more. Yeah, just stay on this side of the thing.
Right. Good evening. My name is Lynn-Ann, for those of you that don't know me. I'm doing games and the carnival. So for games, I'm going to ask the guides to be a part of the game. So sometimes there's a temptation that you want to, you show up and you hand them off to the game leader and then you sit down on the side. That doesn't help with safety. So I'm going to ask you to continue to stay with the 3 or 4 children that you're assigned to and continue to be a part of that. Because we're on the concrete, it's really good. There's a couple of games that get a little rambunctious, and so we're going to be holding hands on some of the things, and having a larger person or a teenager or an adult there really, really helps to make sure that the kids are safe. So we're going to do that. I think it'll be fun. It's short. It's only 25 minutes for your game time. So we want to get there. We want to get set up. We want to get organized. We want to listen. Benji is our lead here, so we're going to want to be paying attention to him and hearing what he's saying, and then be following his directions so that we can have a really great time and play. And the games have a point, so they're not just running around to get energy out. The games have a point that goes with the stories. So we're going to be trying to ask some questions and doing some interaction about why this game talks about, are things hard? Where do we need Jesus? When would we have seen Jesus in that game? So try and follow along with that and listen for those sorts of things. Okay, carnival. So carnival, the way we've got it set up is that you guys are going to be inside for the first hour, but when you come out, you're going to go around with your group and still be with. So it won't be that we release into the play yard and everybody's free. I'm going to want you to stay with your group, okay? I'm going to want you to go around to the different activities, and we're going to order you so that you go with the group until a parent comes and takes a child. Then they're free to go. But when all of your children have been picked up by a parent or a responsible adult, I'm going to need you to step into the carnival games and help run games for them, okay? So it's kind of like, oh, yay, carnival, but we're going to work a little bit, okay? It'll be fun. The games are easy. We've got some old-fashioned case games, like the ball that rolls up and hits the bucket. There's a little bozo buckets. There's fun things. They're easy. But so when when your children have been picked up, I want you to come find me, okay? And I'm going to assign you to a game, and it won't be all night, but maybe it might be another hour, okay? And it might be that you do the first hour, and it might be that you do the second hour, okay? And then you're free to have fun and play the games and be part of that, okay? Safety with the trackless train. It is an electric train. It's not diesel, but it is a moving vehicle. So we're going to want to have you pay attention to your kids because we're going to go around the block and come through the parking lot. And so we want to make sure that there's a pathway when that train comes, that your kids are safe and not in front, okay? There's also an officer who's going to come from Western Springs and talk about train safety. So that'll be fun. You can stop there and pick up some information there. it's going to be a fun night. I think it'll be great, but just recognize that one of the things that's super important is your role is staying with your kids and being a part of their fun with them,
Yeah.
even in games in the carnival, okay?
And there's going to be mountains of candy we're going to
Yes.
give away and hot
Popcorn,
dogs and
yeah, it'll be great.
cake walks. People are going to walk away with cakes, right? That's
Yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Judy and Treasure, we want to come talk about crafts for a little bit.
I'm Judy. This is Treasure. I've been part of the crafts team for many, many years, longer than many of you are alive. And anyway, there are 4 crafts that the kids will create. And do you want to talk about them?
Sure.
First, though, I want to say what we'll do, crafts will occur in this room. We'll have tables, several of the rectangular tables set up. We ask you to sit with your participants in the program and ask you to also help them, especially with the younger kids. They may need some extra guidance, or coordination comes at different times for different people. So that's another part of being with the kids is reaching in, saying, here, let me help you, paying attention if somebody's a little frustrated, and just being able to kind of step in and encourage them and say, hey, you can do this, or let me help you do this, so that it ends up being a really positive experience for everybody.
Okay, the first day will be this little locomotive as the picture frame. Last year we didn't have pictures, and I heard some people that were very disappointed that they didn't have pictures because they said, oh, my folks always keep all those pictures. So this year it even says Jesus gives us power. And so they come in kits like this. And again, we're going to stress that you help, but don't do the project for the kids. Do it with them if they need help. And please don't do a kit for yourself at that time. We did order extras, so if there's anything that you are particularly fond of, let us know and we'll do our best to give you that kit. Okay, then on Tuesday, sorry I don't have an actual picture of or sample, but this is a game spinner, and in here will be little game pieces. We have a game that is built around the train theme, and Mrs. Sally Winkler, I don't see
Yep,
her.
she's right over there.
Oh, yeah. She designed it, and then Greg Ullerate did the artwork for us, and it's at the printers. We should have them on Friday. But this gives a sample of the completion of that game. And you will note this one will be in somebody's group that is a red. You will have a spinner that will correspond with your color group. Okay? Wednesday, we don't have anything. Tuesday, this is the completed bag that we will have. They'll come like this, and we'll have a little paper tag on it, and it will have the student's name on it. And inside the bag, each bag, will be a small box of crayons, and they will be using the crayons. This will be Thursdays. And they will not get the book, but there's going to be a fun coloring / activity book, and we're going to encourage the parents to have a serious conversation around train safety. And just like Miss Lynn Ann was talking about, we want to stress trains are interesting from 9 months to 99 years and 9 months, and so we want to be safe around them. And then Friday will be our memory verse train. And this one kind of turns around. We will have a better way to where it won't spin around. Again, it comes in a little kit, and so it's going to be important for each of the guides to listen to Miss Judy on the instructions and then be with them and help them.
Yes.
If we were assigned crafts, then what is our role compared to the guides?
If you're assigned to crafts, you're going to be involved with Treasure and me, helping the kids more in a supervisory position. And I have a special job for you on Thursday and maybe Friday. So I will talk to you after the thing is over, okay? Part of it is that the crafts will go home with all the kids on Friday in a bag, in a Trader Joe's bag. So part of our job is to make sure everybody's name is on everything. And then we get all the crafts moved out of this room into the other rooms where the bags are located, or the hallway, wherever, 204, wherever they're going to be. And then encourage the kids that just so that they know they will all go home on Friday. And if for any reason somebody can't stay for the whole week, they'll go home as soon as they have to leave, whether it's Thursday or something. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Gene Dukes is our leader in the Connections. Connections is the place where we help kids make spiritual connections to the theme for that particular day and for the week, but also to help them think beyond themselves and what might Jesus be doing in the whole world. And so it's a big task, especially when we're talking about kindergartners and first graders. She's not here with us today, but she is here with us via video. So here's Jean talking about Connections.
Hey, VBS team. Since I can't be here tonight, I want to share with you what's going on in Connections. As always, our Connections is where we connect with one another. We connect with the kids, with the leaders, and we connect with God. So there will be a kid video that will happen, and there will be discussion questions. And I'm counting on you as leaders to ask those questions and have conversations with kids. In addition, this is where we have our connections with our mission project. And just like last year, we are doing Operation Christmas Child. This is an M&M tube that has a paper around it that will go home with the kids on the first day. These tubes are great for collecting coins or dollars. We want to encourage the kids to bring coins and dollars to contribute toward materials for Operation Christmas Child boxes and for postage. In addition, there will be boxes available for kids to take home and to fill up like we have done in the past. Each day in Connections, the kids will have an opportunity to put up a sticker on the wall to mark the fact that they brought some sort of a contribution to Operation Christmas Child. We're going to challenge them to fill up the train cars with their stickers. They are allowed to bring contributions every single day. So anytime they come, they can bring either their boxes with their materials or they can bring coins. At the registration table, there will be a place for them to place their coins. There's a Plinko device as well as a place to put in dollar bills. So they do that every day at the registration table, and every time they make a donation, they get to put a sticker up. Looking forward to seeing all of you at Connections next week. Thanks.
All right.
Hey.
Click on the right thing. Hey, Aaron, why don't you come up? Aaron's our youth pastor here at the church, and he has some youth events scheduled. Why don't you tell us about them?
Sure.
I'm delaying the time. Come on
Sorry,
down.
I need to walk.
Price is right.
So yeah, like he said, we're doing 3 events on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right after VBS. The first one on Monday is going to be an ice cream social at Oberweis, so everybody likes ice cream. You should come on out. Parents are welcome to that, just to get to know the church, get to know our ministry, what we do. On Wednesday, we're going to play kickball after the carnival. So you'll get lots of carnival food in, and then we'll go burn some calories on the kickball field. And then on Friday, we're going to do a frisbee golf. So we kind of have a variety of things that we're doing. But an important piece on here is the link at the bottom, and that is a link to all of our events throughout the year. So we have some bonfires coming up in the fall. We have like a Water Wars event in August, different things that we're doing here in the ministry. So I know some of you, I don't know others of you, so feel free to say hello to me. I'll be doing sound and video stuff during VBS.
Yeah, and this is not everyone, for sure.
Yeah.
So if you have friends who are not here tonight but will be here during the week of VBS, get the word out. We'd love to have you connect a little bit further. Who doesn't like ice cream, right? Especially otherwise, it's a good time. Good. Well, I think that covers just about all that we need to cover. Thank you so much for coming out. We're going to spend some time praying together. It's been an hour and a half. So how about if maybe 2 or 3 individuals be willing to pray good and loud, and then I'll start, and then I'll also wrap up our time of prayer. If we can have maybe 2 or 3 people pray for our VBS, pray for our children, pray for the weather, all of those things. Pray for God to do really cool things in the hearts and lives of our children and families who they're a part of. That's really the reason why we do VBS. Because we know Jesus, and we know that Jesus saves and makes the difference in people's lives and in children's lives. And we know that God's going to do something great in the hearts and lives of these children and in their families, our neighbors here in Western Springs. And so I'll start praying, and then if 2 or 3 people jump on in after that, and then we'll wrap it up together. Okay. Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity that we have to serve you and to express our love for you by leading children in VBS. And so, God, we pray for this next week. There are still some details of things that need to be printed and decorations need to be putting up and all the other little details to be fully prepared to have 100 children come and be a part of our VBS. And so, God, we trust you in that, and we know that you will give us the strength and the power and the ability to do what you want us to do. And so we pray for VBS.
Lord, I pray for the children that are coming and for their parents, their families, and I just pray that you give them open hearts to hear your good news that we just so look forward to sharing with them this coming week. And I pray for the volunteers, just no matter what the job is, whether small or large or active or kind of in the background, I just pray that you would give each one just a heart for the children, that we might have a love for them and see them to realize, and that we would, your spirit would just work through each of the volunteers to share your good news and the truth of your gospel.
Lord, we thank you so much for all these people who are here today and who are also watching and who will watch. All these volunteers who have a heart for kids, who want to bring the Lord into their lives in an even bigger way. And we just thank you for this blessing, and we pray that it will be a wonderful time of connecting with each other, connecting with the kids, and really showing God's love in a profound way.
God, we're excited. We're excited to see how you work and change our hearts during VBS, and how we'll see how Jesus' power does some incredible things. Thank you for your word and for the stories from the Bible that we will learn and and talk about and apply. Thank you for the crafts and the games and the connections we'll make, and for the songs that we'll sing and the dances that we'll learn. All of it, God, we just thank you for, and we're excited to be a part of your plan in VBS this year in Western Springs. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thanks, everybody, for coming. If you filled out an application, make sure you leave that with an adult. Take home your t-shirt. Wear your t-shirt on Monday. We'll see you at 2:37 on Monday, June 6th.